Hello! Today I am going to be sharing with you 15 fine motor activities for your young toddler through your preschooler to build their fine motor skills, to give those little small muscles in their hands lots and lots of practice so that they will be ready and comfortable when the time comes for them to start learning how to write. Let's jump into these suggestions. Couple links below to a few specific things, but please note these will be very much my own style of suggestions where I am not telling you to get every random little gadget that's perfectly designed for fine motor skills. These will be mostly things you already have around the house and mostly things that you probably already do, but here are just some ways to incorporate them with your children a little bit more and help really develop those skills a little bit more. Number one, scissors are one of my absolute favorite tools for building fine motor skills, and I will hand my children scissors from when they're starting to get close to 2 years old. I like to start with just the plain little metal scissors for kids with the blunt edges. They work a whole lot better than the plastic scissors, and they're less frustrating because of that. Now, this can be useful both in two different ways: in directed activities of scissor cutting, where they're supposed to be cutting along a line. I love the Kumon 2+ notebooks for Let's Learn to Cut. These are a great series of notebooks for cutting, but also totally undirected cutting is a very good fine motor practice as well. Give a 2-year-old a piece of paper and a pair of scissors and just let them go to town. Let them cut that paper into a million pieces, and later they can work on their gross motor skills by helping you sweep it up. Next is the classic Play-Doh, and again, I highly suggest both undirected play, where you just give your kids Play-Doh, let them go to town, let them use some kitchen tools or whatever you have to just have fun and go with their imagination. But also, especially with younger children and children who don't have older siblings to kind of give them ideas, some directed play with Play-Doh can be very good to build those fine motor skills. Show them how to roll Play-Doh into a ball. Show them how to roll it into a snake. Make a couple of snakes and then show them how to twist it together. So you can purposely and intentionally practice different types of skills and movements with Play-Doh. So again, undirected play and directed play with Play-Doh is excellent. Number 3, painting. I always say the best way to add fun into the preschool day, and a really easy way, is just to get out the paint and the paintbrushes. The kids will be so happy. There's just something so fun and motivating about painting. Of course, holding a paintbrush, learning to hold it properly is great practice. The sensory experience of painting is great. You can use watercolor paint, which tends to be the easiest to clean up, but you can also use things like washable Crayola poster paint is an excellent choice as well. You can always add variety through different tools to let your child paint with. Let them paint with Q-tips, let them paint with their fingers, with paintbrushes, but also don't stress out about it having to be something different and new every time. A small child is just going to be happy with some paint and a paintbrush and a paper and just the ability to create with that. So yes, you can have some directed activities and chances to try new things within painting, but you don't have to stress about it being a totally new craft every time or having a perfect end result of something. Just enjoy the process art and the skill building that's happening. Next, let your children dress themselves. Encourage them to dress themselves, to work with the Velcro on their shoes or the zippers on their coats or the buttons on their shirts. Really encourage them, don't let them, get struggling and frustrated and upset, but encourage them to see, can you figure out how to do this? How to pull off a shirt, how to pull it on yourself. This builds excellent skills, and it's something that your child is doing, multiple times a day in most cases with small children, is getting dressed and undressed. Next, helping in the kitchen. Most likely you are in the kitchen every day making food, and most of the things you do in the kitchen require some motor skills. You are able to do it skillfully through lots of practice and through all the time that you've spent developing those skills. I highly encourage you to invite your small children into the kitchen with you. Some people really recommend getting these special kind of knives that kids can't cut themselves with. For me, I just use a butter knife because it's not impossible, but it's pretty hard to cut yourself with a butter knife, and I'm right there watching them. You can just use a butter knife and they can cut softer fruits and vegetables like melons or cucumbers for whatever I'm making. for those, and they can mix what I make. They love to pour in the ingredients. We teach a lot of safety skills in the kitchen, but also the fine motor skills are being practiced through everything. This is a daily activity that your kids can be involved in. Drawing, of course, is the classic pre-writing activity for building fine motor skills. Give your kids crayons, pencils, and markers. Markers tend to be incredibly motivational. They will just scribble with markers forever. Let them scribble, let them draw whatever comes into their mind, encourage them, draw right next to them so that they can see you doing it, you making different shapes, circles and squares and triangles and smiley faces as they're just getting started, and later on drawing a little bit more complicated ideas. They love to sit down and draw with a parent. Lacing and sewing activities are also great for building those skills of being able to hold on to that lace or hold on to that plastic needle. You can usually start with the little lacing activities like these lace-up letters, but you can move on with time. I love to use felt for sewing with young children. Also, sometimes they have those plastic netting that's used with a plastic needle and yarn for doing little cross-stitch or simple sewing projects on that. That is a great starting point as well. Very, very good for building attention skills as well as fine motor skills. Construction toys. I know, we all want to be minimalist and we don't want our houses covered with toys. And yet somehow the very best toys seems like they all come with at least 100 pieces, if not hundreds of pieces. But simple wooden blocks to magnet tiles to Legos to Duplos, depending on the age of your child, these, I think, are some of the best investments we can make in toys. They can keep your children occupied for hours, but more than just occupied, they are working the brain, they are working their hands as they're pulling blocks apart, putting them together, pulling them apart again because they need to rearrange the arrangement of them. They're using their imagination. You can use these for different kinds of activities as well, from color sorting to shape sorting and things like that, but they're excellent for fine motor as we're learning to balance objects on another or connect them in ways that they fit. A lot of children are very inclined to create nature collections, and you can hardly go on a walk without them coming home with a pocket full of rocks. So for the purposes of fine motor skill development, you can go ahead and encourage this. Maybe your child collects shells, or they collect rocks, or they might even seem to like collecting ants and keeping them in a little ant farm. Whatever the case may be, you can encourage those little collections because those do give lots of opportunities to practice fine motor skills, because you'll often find young children arranging and rearranging their shells or their rocks or sorting them by shape and color. These small things that they are picking up is a great opportunity, and it tends to be very self-motivated when it's something that they were motivated to collect, interested in collecting, they brought home. So letting them have these collections and manage these collections can be a great activity. Next activity is puzzles. We all know about puzzles. Some of us like puzzles more than others. I'm not the biggest puzzle fan personally, but I do see their value. Start with just the 2-piece puzzles, and you can move up from there slowly with 12-piece puzzles and bigger puzzles and bigger puzzles. They're great for holding those small pieces, for the spatial awareness of figuring out how to fit them together. There are lots of great learning opportunities, but here we're focusing on those fine motor skills. Another type of game is card games are also excellent for building their skills with their hands, as they're learning how to hold multiple cards at once, pull out one card from their hand, or flip up cards if you're playing a memory card game. Lots of great learning opportunities with those cards. Stickers. Children love stickers, and moms often love these dot stickers or these label stickers. Mine are not dots. A lot of times they're dots, but I have rectangles right now. They work just the same. Label stickers tend to be very cheap, so these are great for a type of sticker that your child can just use dozens of. They can peel them up easily from the paper, and a lot of times I'll draw a letter or I'll draw a shape and just have them cover the whole outline of that shape or of that letter with these label stickers. Hole punch. Punching holes in paper is extremely exciting for young children. Being able to work the hole punch is great practice for the muscles. Also later, once they've punched a bunch of holes, you can add a second layer to the activity where they can see all the little circles that they've collected, and they can glue them onto paper and make their own confetti. A little bit of a messy activity, but pretty fun. A practical fine motor skills activity is to invite your children to join you in folding laundry. Some of the greatest pieces of laundry to start with for small children are towels and socks. Flipping over socks, if you do it that way, for matching socks together, or I have my kids lay out like kitchen towels, smaller towels on the floor, and have taught them how to fold those correctly through laying them out on the floor before they fold them. They can also fold their own, they tend to be small. When you have small children, they tend to be small. Their clothes tend to be small. They can fold their own shorts and t-shirts, simple clothing, and put those away. Great life skills and fine motor skills. All the skills overlap, guys. It's a win-win-win. And the last activity for today is include them in their personal grooming. So have them be brushing and combing their own hair, scrubbing their own hair with soap, brushing their own teeth. Of course, with small children, you also have to brush their teeth. You also have to be involved in their washing of their hair, making sure they really get clean. But involving them from very early on in these builds so many skills. I hope that you enjoyed this video and you got some good inspiration and ideas from it. Definitely like this video if you appreciated it, and subscribe to my channel 7 and All for more practical, joyful homeschooling inspiration. Bye!